The situation is escalating by the hour. What began as a political dispute has now exploded into something far bigger. This is no longer a quiet disagreement behind closed doors. This is no longer diplomatic sparring. What we are witnessing looks, feels, and sounds like an open declaration of war, not with weapons, but with power, influence, and control. Elon Musk has just pulled the emergency brake on the European Union. Well, simply subscribe to USA Close-Up and press the bell icon to stay informed. In a move that has sent shockwaves through Brussels and beyond, Musk has blocked the European Commission's advertising account on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. One single action, but with massive consequences. According to stunned observers, this move effectively cuts off a major financial and messaging lifeline for the EU's institutional machine on one of the world's most influential platforms. And that was only the beginning. Almost immediately after taking this step, Musk went public. In front of hundreds of millions of users worldwide, he typed a sentence that is already echoing across political and media circles. "Let's sack the EU." This was not sarcasm. This was not humor. This was not a careless remark fired off in the heat of the moment. It was a cold, calculated, and deliberate statement aimed directly at the heart of the European project itself. Elon Musk was not criticizing a policy, he was challenging the legitimacy of the entire structure. And when that message landed, the reaction from the European Commission was nothing short of explosive. What we are witnessing now is being described by analysts as a political, institutional, and economic tornado, a violent backlash from a bureaucracy that has grown accustomed to power and deeply uncomfortable with resistance. Brussels is scrambling because, for perhaps the first time, it is facing an opponent it cannot easily silence, fine into submission, or push into compliance. This is a historic moment, and your opinion matters, because what happens next will affect not just Europe, but the future of speech, power, and democracy across the Western world. So how did we get here? Surprisingly, the trigger was almost absurdly simple. Elon Musk blocked the European Commission's advertising account on X. That's it. No more paid promotions, no more sponsored messaging, no more taxpayer-funded narratives boosted across the platform. And why did he do it? According to reports, the European Commission posted what appeared to be a standard promotional advertisement. On the surface, it looked harmless, a video campaign. But in reality, the post functioned as a redirection mechanism, quietly funneling users to an official European website. Critics say this was a deceptive tactic designed to inflate engagement and manipulate reach. The irony is impossible to ignore. Sources claim that the European Commission previously used similar practices as justification for imposing massive fines and regulatory pressure on Musk's platform. In other words, the same behavior they condemned, they allegedly engaged in themselves. Critics immediately cried hypocrisy. They argue that the EU did exactly what it accuses others of doing, manipulating users, obscuring intent, and bending the rules to serve its own agenda. And when confronted with consequences, the institution reacted with outrage. Musk's response was blunt and unapologetic. In his view, the European Commission abused its authority and violated the platform's rules. The punishment was simple. Your advertising account is closed. No negotiations, no bureaucratic jargon, no endless regulatory ping-pong, just enforcement. And that enforcement sent Brussels into panic mode. According to insiders, the tone inside the EU institutions shifted almost overnight from confident superiority to visible anxiety. Why? Because for the first time, a powerful individual openly defied their authority and refused to back down. That defiance has now emboldened others. The dam has cracked, and voices that were once cautious are now speaking openly. One of the most prominent is Geert Wilders, the outspoken Dutch politician who recently secured a major electoral victory. He didn't mince words, he didn't speak in diplomatic language, he went straight for the core. Wilders publicly accused the European Commission of being a totalitarian regime and pointed out something many citizens have long whispered but rarely say aloud. Let that sink in. The European Commission,
Arguably, the most powerful governing body in Europe is not directly elected by the people. Its leadership emerges from closed-door negotiations, political deals, and internal appointments, and yet it dictates policies that override national parliaments, reshape economies, and affect the daily lives of hundreds of millions. Is that democracy? Did you vote for Ursula von der Leyen? Did anyone you know? This question is at the heart of the growing anger. Many Europeans feel governed by an unelected structure that operates above national sovereignty while demanding obedience in the name of democracy. As this criticism grows louder, pro-EU elites are losing their composure. Their long-standing narrative is fracturing, and when narratives collapse, fear becomes the weapon of choice. A new storyline is already being pushed, that shadowy forces are conspiring to destroy the European Union. Russian influence, American tech billionaires, populist politicians, all lumped together as a single existential threat. But here's the truth many are now realizing. Europe is not the European Union. They are not the same thing. Criticizing Brussels is not attacking Europe. Questioning the Commission is not rejecting democracy. And dismantling bureaucratic overreach does not mean destroying nations. Even Elon Musk himself has made this distinction clear. His conflict is not with European citizens, it is with an institutional machine that believes it knows better than the people it claims to serve. And nowhere is this mindset clearer than in the EU's approach to information control. In a speech that remains publicly accessible, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen described disinformation as a virus, something society must be immunized against. Read that carefully. Immunized means acted upon before exposure, before discussion, before debate, before thought. This is the concept of preemptive censorship, pre-bunking, stopping ideas before they are spoken, punishing narratives before they are formed. This is no longer about fact-checking. This is about controlling the boundaries of acceptable thought. And here's the most disturbing question of all. Who decides what disinformation is? The answer is the same institution currently accused of misleading advertising and narrative manipulation, the same body demanding the power to define truth. Observers warn that the organization which controls information today will control human thinking tomorrow. That is the endgame. This is why Musk's move is seen by many as a critical turning point, not because he is perfect, not because he is infallible, but because he is willing to say no. He is not using violence, he is not mobilizing mobs, he is using rules, transparency, and refusal. Platform X, despite its flaws, remains one of the last major digital spaces not fully absorbed into state-aligned narrative control, and that is precisely why it is under relentless pressure. The EU has now escalated the conflict, threatening massive fines under its digital laws for failing to remove what it defines as illegal content. But critics argue that illegal has become a flexible term, shaped by political convenience. Today it's migration debates. Tomorrow it could be your opinion. Musk's response was nothing short of nuclear. Abolish the EU. Whether you agree or not, the message is clear. A growing number of people believe the European Union has transformed into a bureaucratic monster obsessed with regulation, control, and obedience rather than accountability and citizen welfare. Even the transatlantic alliance is showing cracks. Political leaders are resorting to insults instead of arguments, telling Musk to go to Mars instead of addressing the substance of his criticism. But it may already be too late. The public is waking up. They see an institution demanding loyalty without legitimacy, authority without consent, power without accountability. Elon Musk has thrown the first stone, and now the question hangs in the air, heavier than ever before. Who owns your voice? You or the state? The answer to that question will define the future of Europe.